welcome into the Press Row Show, the #1 rated pregame, intermission, and postgame show this side of the Mississippi. I'm Russ Joy. That's Anthony SanFilippo. Behind the glass, there's no glass, is none other than intern Andrew. He's here. And Bundy will be with us first intermission, second intermission, and postgame. We are coming to you live from the Wells Fargo Center as the Philadelphia Flyers prepare to take on the Tampa Bay Lightning. And we can see that there's a large crew. There's a large audience checking in, obviously, because Owen Tippett has been placed on injured reserve.
That's the reason.
Cal Peterson has been brought up.
Yeah, that's the reason they're checking in.
Yep. So, welcome.
So how do you want to address this? How do you want to handle
The
this?
Flyers put out a statement, which is why many of you are probably here. And I will tell you right now, I have seen reckless speculation abound on Twitter, which we're not going to delve into. We will talk a little bit about it. But the Flyers put out a statement not that long ago about Carter Hart. Now, as we speculated over the weekend, there was a chance that the Flyers might look to go back to Sam Ersson tonight. He did get the last start, and we said there was a good chance that if he had a decent showing, he could be in net today. We put that on the Twitter. But that's not why we are here. Now, it was announced earlier in the day that Ersson would be in net for the Flyers. And then it was, 2 hours ago or so, the Flyers put out the following statement from General Manager Danny Briere. Carter Hart has requested and been granted an indefinite leave of absence citing personal reasons. The club will have no further comment at this time. So what does that mean? Well, it means that Carter Hart is indefinitely not with the team, citing personal reasons. The club, no comment. Those are the facts.
Yeah, and that's what it is right now. You can't say anything else about it. I mean, you really can't. And I know people are going to say, "Well, come on, just speculate, just talk about it." There's this thing that's looming out there. And we've talked about it all last year.
We've spent 6 months talking about the fact. Well, it's been longer than 6 months.
The Team Canada thing, right?
The Hockey Canada investigation, which we have not been given an indication that this is in any way, shape, or form related to that.
Right, and so
could it be? I don't know.
And until we are given that either directly to us or it is reported that way by someone else, that you cannot speculate about that.
Yeah.
Because this is something that if Carter Hart went out for something that's very personal and a mental health thing,
which his teammate on the team there, the 2018 team, Dylan Dubé, he went out 2 days ago. Calgary put out a statement.
And
Calgary's statement
what the reason is,
and
right?
I'll pull that up too.
But basically what I'm saying is that no matter what people are the conversation that's swirling, no matter what it is, unless you are someone who is directly involved with conversations with Hockey Canada, directly involved with the London, Ontario Police Department, directly involved with the Crown's investigation in Canada, or even are privy to what is in the NHL offices, you cannot speculate on something like this. You cannot. And the reason you cannot is because it's very sensitive. It's a very tough topic.
Yes.
In so many ways, and out of respect for the people involved, out of respect for the alleged victim, out of respect for anybody who might be tied to this, you cannot put any speculative information out there because you really run a risk. You really run a risk of damaging everything.
Other people can certainly do it. The thing that I think we
cannot.
Well, the thing that we've been very resolute in, and we've talked about this a bunch of times, because the last thing I want is for there to be people out there who say, "Oh, you guys, because you're partnered with the team, now you become lapdogs." I've said the same thing, and I will reiterate it here because I've said it for about a year now. Any player who ultimately, and again, we're not saying that Carter Hart is involved in it, any player who eventually is named in an investigation and is proven guilty and all that in a court of law in Canada, whenever that happens, because God knows it's been years and years that this has been floating out there, where there's been an alleged victim looking for justice. It's just been years. any player who ultimately is found guilty should not be allowed to play hockey and play in the NHL. They should be suspended indefinitely. They should be booted from the league. They should probably be fined. They should obviously face whatever legal ramifications stand. And if they ever want to get back into this league or make it into the league in the first place, they should have to apply for reinstatement. And that's where I'm at. And I've been there for a year. I've talked about this before. We partnered with the team, when we partnered with the team, after we partnered with the team. I don't think that that's a ridiculous stance to take. I'll point back to the Mitchell Miller thing that happened, where there was an alleged assault of a peer, and he was never allowed to play. The Bruins went and tried to acquire him, and then had to relinquish those rights because he had to apply for reinstatement, and he'd never played a game in the league. All this is to say, whatever that is, we're not saying it is directly tied to whatever this statement is from the Flyers. And it's probably also worth noting that there's no direct correlation necessarily to Dylan Dubé taking leave 2 days ago. I want to read what their statement, though, was, because Calgary's sounded different than what the Flyers put out. Calgary, 2 days ago, put out this statement about Dylan Dubé. Dylan Dubé has been granted an indefinite leave of absence from the team while he attends to his mental health. Dylan is under the care of health professionals, and we request that Dylan's privacy is respected during this period. So it's a different statement, right? The language used, the tone. It's all a little bit different. Now,
yeah, but it's just the way their lawyers wrote it versus the way the Flyers lawyers wrote it.
They went into a little bit more where it was mental health related. The Flyers said he is citing personal reasons and has requested this time. The club has no comment. You as a person out there, you can speculate, you can think, you can put whatever. If you want to add 2 and 2 to make potato, by all means you can. But we're not going to dive any further into it than that. There are obvious ramifications, though, and we've talked about them for a while. Hart has been out a lot this season with illness, with a condition. There were questions, obviously, once people got through the Hockey Canada speculation and the replies. There were some people who said, well, maybe he's just sick. Could this just be whatever has been bothering him all season? Okay.
No, I don't think it is.
Okay, so let's get
because I knew what that illness was, and I'm still not going to report it because, again, HIPAA violation, and it's not been approved by Carter, but it has been passed along. And what I can say is that while it was something that they didn't expect, it also was not something serious.
Yep.
It's something that's manageable and fixable, and it's really not an issue. So no, I do not. This has nothing to do with that.
Okay. So then the other thing that people have come up with, and Andrew has to be very careful in which comments he pulls up here, but there have been people who said, hey, I hope it's not mental health related, and if it is, we know that he's been working with a sports psychologist since he was young, which we've talked about that a bunch of times as well. I'm pretty sure that when we had Keith Primo on the show a couple years ago, we talked about the importance of potentially seeking help.
Yeah.
Because being an athlete, especially a goalie, it can be very complicated. And so there have been people who've been saying, hey, if it's a mental health thing, obviously you hope the guy gets the help he needs. That's all fair. That's all accurate. We don't know what the reason is. We're not going to speculate it on any further. We're just presenting to you, the wonderful people who tune into the Press Row Show, the #1 rated pregame, intermission, and postgame show side of the Mississippi.
And I did have.
These are some of the different things that are out there.
And one thing that look, I mean, I'm not going to lie to anybody and say that I haven't been asking around to try and get something that I could put out there, but I can't. There's nothing that I can put out there at this point. But I have been able to at least figure out that as of now, and for the time being, until anything else comes to fruition here, he remains on the active roster, and his cap hit remains with the team.
Okay.
Now, down the line, depending on how long his indefinite leave is, for whatever reasons they are, there's a chance he becomes a non-rostered player, in which case then the contract is no longer valid for the season. I mean, it's still valid, but it's not valid for the season as far as for the cap hit. So that would change things. But that's kind of like an irrelevant sidebar. It's just kind of as you're trying to piece together this Flyers season going forward, and what does it look like, and how does it work, and that has to kind of be taken into consideration, right? So it was at least worth trying to find that out and get that information. But for the immediate future, tonight and
However long. Until they get clarity.
Right, until the team gets clarity,
yes.
Really, in all honesty. Carter Hart remains an active roster participant.
Okay. Now, did you do the thing that I asked you to do?
I did.
Okay. So, there are obvious ramifications here on the hockey team, and we're gonna do the thing that we do where we split this, right? Because we talked about some of the speculation. And I always want to be careful and be respectful of the Hockey Canada thing, especially with the alleged victim. So I don't want it to be like, hey, we just had this very serious conversation. Let's talk about the implications or the ramifications on the hockey team. Because, again, we're not saying these things are tied. Okay. When it pertains to the Philadelphia Flyers and their chance of doing whatever it is in the next few weeks, the next few months, without knowing for sure why he's out or how long he's going to be out, Sam Ersson now is your number one goalie. Now, you know me, some like to call me a hot take artist. I say it's not a hot take if it's true. I've been saying that I think Sam Ersson has proven to be the number one guy this season. I think that if everything had played out, if they continued to play the way that they were, I think Sam Ersson was going to be the guy that John Tortorella was going to look at as the number one goalie. You may agree, you may disagree. That's fine. We're allowed to have different opinions. This organization did a lot in the offseason to fortify the goalie position, both at home and abroad. They made that trade that brought in Cal Peterson as part of a bigger deal. They have Felix Sandstrom in the pipeline. He is available. They obviously, Ersson's going to be in net. They have Kolosov playing in the KHL, where that's a guy who there are going to be a lot of questions about. Can he come over? Like, if this were to be a thing where Hart is out an extended period of time.
He's on his ELC right now.
Kolosov is.
Kolosov is, yeah. He is on his ELC, so there is a possibility of that at some point. They also drafted 2 goalies this year, if you remember. Carson Jarnison, who they signed to an ELC, but it's slide rule. I believe it's slide rule eligible, so that could get bumped a season. But he is already under his ELC. And then they also, in the 3rd round, have a kid on the reserve list that they also drafted right after Jarnison, because they traded up, if you remember, for the pick from Jarnison.
Which caught a lot of people by surprise that they went with multiple goals.
And then they drafted a second goalie. They drafted Zavragin, Igor Zavragin, who they own his rights indefinitely because he's a Russian player and he's over there and playing in the KHL, but he's only 18 years old. So he's not something that's part of the near future, but at the same time is somebody for down the line. So definitely the one thing the Flyers did smartly is they invested in the position. I'm not certain that every player that you have there is a great player or is going to become a star player or legitimate even NHL player for that matter, but they have enough there that they can take that chance, right? And we knew from last year that they believed Sam Ersson. This isn't the first time we've said it on this show. They believed last year that Sam Ersson had number one goalie potential, and we've said it last year. We said it this year. That is part of it, and one of the luxuries that they had with him and Hart playing as well as they were, or are for that matter, was that they could go to a number one-esque goalie at any time. Now you take Carter Hart out of the mix for the near future, at least, if not longer, and now you have to kind of figure it out, right? And so Ersson's still going to be the guy, and it's a position, whether you feel like he earned it or not to this point, he's going to get it, and that's all there is to it. I mean, they don't really have another option in that regard, and Peterson is here as a veteran. As a veteran backup goalie, and that's the role that he's going to provide. But you're going to see Cal Peterson get the brunt of games going forward, and then as they make this push, but they're going to need some help from Cal Peterson along the way to win a couple of games if they think that they're going to be a playoff team here this season.
So there are a few things, I guess, at play, right? Ivan Fedotov not coming over.
No,
we can pretty definitively say that's not going to happen. He's actually had a pretty good year in the KHL. 2.32 goals against, .911 save percentage, 4 shutouts. Kolosov, for what it's worth, to those who care, has been on loan to Dynamo Minsk, and he's had 3 shutouts this season. He's had a pretty strong season of his own. I guess that'll be a name to keep an eye on. It's just a matter of, can you get him over here, I guess, once the KHL season is over. That, I think, would probably be a tough sell, especially because we've talked about how different the rinks are in the European game versus here. Could he get brought over and then sent to the Phantoms to adjust? And with a long enough runway, could you potentially see him get a few starts at the end? And if you are making a playoff run, that's a lot of ifs, a lot of buts.
Yeah.
Ultimately, this really is a massive monkey wrench in what this team was hoping to do down the stretch. But we'll see. If nothing else, the team, in theory, has a lot of guys in the pipeline that they could try to call on. Do you expect them to roll with Peterson as the second goalie for an extended period of time, or could they look to make an addition of a different veteran backup if they get clarity on Hart and Hart is out for a while or for quite a while? Could they look to make that kind of move?
I don't think that they would. I think you ride with Cal Peterson as a backup. Look, Cal Peterson in the past had a good season, right? I mean, he wasn't awful. He's not been great since. But if you're asking him to just be a backup guy, I mean, I think it's okay. Urs is gonna be your guy. And look, I wrote about this today before I knew any of this was happening, right? I did a whole story on Crossing Broad about, Urson and Hart and, and where it lies and how Torts has in the past, historically, 12 times he's been taking a team to the playoffs. He's played coached 120 playoff games. And of those 120 playoff games, 116 were started by one goalie on the roster, and 4 were started by the second goalie on the roster. So he doesn't believe in doing the 2-goalie system in the postseason. Actually, one of those 4 starts was because of the COVID year in the bubble. They had all the games kind of compressed together. Couldn't start the same goalie like 3 days in a row, whatever it was. And so that's why he went to the backup. But, so not really since 2006 when Sean Burke replaced John Graham for the Tampa Bay Lightning has he gone with 2 goalies in the playoffs. So I think he was trending toward picking one of them anyway.
Yes.
Whether that
Sam Ersson.
Whether that was going to be decided in the end of January or whether that was going to be decided in March would have, we will never know now at this point. But you can say that all you want, Russ, but the reality of the situation is that they were going to play it out. Mm-hmm. They were going to play it out as long as they were going to play it out, and whatever.
Sam Ersson was going to emerge as the number 1.
Could have.
He was going to.
Could have. I wouldn't say 100%. Could have.
We can all believe in what we want to believe.
Thankfully, that's the case. And I know I'm a lot more comfortable believing in what I know as opposed to what you believe.
Then I saw his face.
So, but yeah, I mean, now it's a little bit more spotlight on Sam, and so it's going to be interesting because
teams are going to know to prepare for him.
Well, not only that, it's basically like it was fun to play really well when you were kind of sharing time and, not really the number 1 guy, even if it was a wink, wink, nudge, nudge type situation.
Pull up that Willie comment. Yeah, there it is. Pains me to say this, but Russ is right. Sam was going to be the guy.
Well, he may have been ultimately, but what I'm trying to say here is that it was not being determined. The plan was not to determine that in January. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And can you agree with me at least on that?
Yeah, they were going to play it out.
Right.
They were. I just think, I personally, en mi opinión, la realidad, I think that it was, I think it was going to be Sam. Now, there's another thing that we have to talk about. I know that everybody loves goalie talk. I know. I will tell you, I saw Jason Martinez, and I asked him if he had his goalie pads with him, and he said, no, they're hanging up in the garage growing moss. So if you were hoping to see emergency backup goalie Jason Martinez tonight, it will not happen. I regret to inform the public. There's another thing at play, and it's something that the coach addressed to the media today.
Yeah.
And it was the 11-7 that he's been rocking and rolling with.
Yeah.
And he talked about how he doesn't like rolling the 11-7. He talked about how historically it's not something that he's enjoyed doing, but he thinks that he's getting a better feel for a lot of these different forwards. Now, I proposed to Bundy the other day, you missed this, but I proposed that why stop at 11-7? Why not go 10-8?
Yeah.
And while we're there, why not go 9-9? And if you're not careful, why not go 8-10? Like, just think about it.
No, so
you can have if you have so many great defenders.
But the thing I found most interesting about that availability today.
Person for Urson.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Oh, here you go.
Shirt soon to be available at shop.snowthegoalie.com.
Yeah. What I really liked about that presser today was the way Torts talked about it and said, listen, he said, I was never an 11-7 guy.
Yeah.
Like, never liked it, never liked doing it. And he said, but for some reason, it seems to work well with this group. Mm-hmm. And it's allowed his forwards to get a better, the middle, especially the middle six guys, to get a real bite in the game. He feels like it really helped Cam Atkinson since he's been back. And look, 8 points in 5 games for Cam Atkinson, right? It's really helped Morgan Frost because he's had a more of a role playing in this game. He can't get pulled and have somebody else jump in for him, really. And it really kind of gives you an advantage when you play that speed game of being able to throw a speed forward out there on that fourth line and maybe stretch a defense a little bit against, a mismatch that you like and take advantage of. And he credited the Tampa Bay Lightning, John Cooper, saying basically this is a coach that really likes doing that as well and has done it with great success in the past. And you can't argue that, right? When you look at what the Lightning have done, granted they have more talent in the past than this Flyers team does, but at least the strategy has worked. So he does, he did admit to that. And my favorite part of the conversation was when he's talking about Owen Tippett, who is on IR, retroactive to Saturday. So he's going to miss tonight, obviously, probably another game or two, but then he'll be back. The thing that the best part about it, the funniest part about it, was when he was talking about Tippett, and he goes, he stinks on defense, but I got to let him go because of how good he is offensively and the things that he can create offensively.
He said he stinks on defense sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes. He built himself in a little bit of leeway.
Yeah.
He said.
He flat out said he stinks on defense sometimes. It was hysterical. I was just sitting there like, really? That's something.
That was something.
That was something.
It was certainly not nothing.
Yeah.
It is interesting, and you think about it, like they do have, at this level, they have 8 NHL caliber defensemen, and they're putting 7 on the ice at any given time. It does beg the question. I understand conceptually why he feels like it's a good idea or it's a good way to get a better look at some of these guys, give them extra minutes. But when you are in the midst of a rebuild, there are a bunch of guys in the forward core that you're going to have to get a look at some point. And that, like, in what are supposed to be meaningless games in a rebuild, you should be getting a better look at a Lixell. You should be getting a better look.
But these are not meaningless games right now.
Well, I'm saying that's the way that the whole thing was.
So think like a coach.
No, you're going a different place. Hold on.
No.
You're going a different place. I'm saying that when this was set up as the rebuild, we were supposed to see a lot of these guys. However, the problem is they're in a potential playoff hunt, and you can't just you can't throw it all aside because these guys they're actively earning the opportunity to make that playoff push if they want. And as a coach, you're not going to say, give me a bunch of guys from the A, screw it, we're trying to bottom out for a top 5.
And that was another thing that he said that I really liked about what he said about Lixell tonight. He said, well, look, Lixell's going to get in the lineup, but there's no guarantee that he stays.
Yeah.
He's got to earn it.
He has to earn it, and he has to play well to stay up.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I think that's a fair thing as well. So, look, Torts has pushed all the right buttons this year with the team, right? He really has. And some people may question his methods sometimes, and I get it, right? I get it. I question some of his methods sometimes too, but you can't argue with the results that he's gotten this season. Yeah. I question some things he did last year because they didn't work, and it's fair to question him. But when it's working, it's hard to argue with what he's doing, and so therefore you got to give the guy props. Maybe this just sticking with this for a little while, maybe up until the All-Star break here. You got another handful of games before that happens. Maybe you just stick with the 11-7 and then reassess at that point.
Yeah.
And figure out where you're at and the best way to construct the roster at that time.
It's a good point. Look at you.
I often have good points if you listen, which you don't usually do. Normally you're not listening. You're over there usually typing away.
I don't know.
Doing some other nonsense that I don't even know what you're doing some of the time.
All right, I'm going to test you really quick.
Oh, boy.
Do you remember how we used to do Know The Goalie? Where I used to give you facts and you had to guess who the goalie was?
God, that was like the first season of Snow The Goalie.
No, it wasn't. That was during COVID.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was the COVID season. All right, so we're not going to play Know The Goalie.
It all runs together with you.
We're going to play Know The Promo. Okay? Without me pulling it up, I want you to give a plug for the live show that we're doing. Go.
You want me to give a plug for it?
Yes, I want to see what you remember about the live show that we're doing. I want you to act like don't fully act like you're me, but act like you're me. Tell the people about the live show.
Okay.
Where they can get tickets and everything.
Go to shop.snowthegoalie.com, and right at the top, you will see a ticket for our live show, the Press Road show for March 16th at La Sicilia in beautiful southern Chester County in Oxford, PA, where there will be all kinds of Italian dishes, buffet style, for you to take part in. Russ, Bundy, and I will be there to do our typical press row show, pregame, intermission, and postgame, and watch the Flyers take on the Boston Bruins with you on the big screen. I think it's a projection that they're going to have there at La Sicilia. So come and join us. There's a limited number of tickets available. We've already sold I'd say about a fifth of the room, so which is great. And so grab your tickets at shop.snowthegoalie.com and come out and hang out with us at La Sicilia in Oxford, Pennsylvania.
That's pretty good.
Did I do all right?
That's okay.
All right, good.
That's good. That's fine.
All right.
That's the work of a man from the theater.
Well, I was talking with a stage manager from the theater earlier,
yeah?
Right before the game. Yeah, that's what. She's here with her husband. It's funny. They're from Minnesota originally. Yes, they lived in Minnesota their whole lives. Mm-hmm. His job took him to Wilmington, Delaware.
Okay.
So they moved to Delaware. And when they moved here over the summer, they bought Flyers season tickets. And I said, "Oh, are you guys Flyers fans from Minnesota?" They said, "No, we just love hockey. We just love hockey."
Uh-huh.
And so they decided to become Flyers fans because this is where he's going to be for his career.
I like that.
So they just started following the Flyers. They were mostly University of Minnesota fans. Thanks, Philip. That's great. They're usually University of Minnesota fans. Went to the few Wild games here and there, but now that they're in Philly, they want to be part of this, the rebuild and enjoy the Flyers. So really kind of cool.
Ooh, I like this question. Hold on. How many meatballs in 3 periods?
Would I eat or would Russ eat?
Oh, I could eat a lot of meatballs.
Well, if I wasn't on this diet, I could eat.
I don't want to hear about the diet.
Plenty of them.
I'm going to have a chat with your fiance about this whole diet thing when it's a live show. You're allowed to have a cheat day.
We do have cheat day. It's Sunday.
Your cheat day is going to be whatever that day is. Is that Friday? A Saturday?
That's a Saturday.
That's a Saturday. Your cheat day is going to be a Saturday, and then Sunday you can starve yourself the whole day. You can live off of whatever excess carbs are left.
But I used to be able to put in a meatball hoagie at least 4 meatballs in the hoagie.
Yeah.
At least 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I had somebody ask in the comments over there where the best pizza is and where the best cheesesteak is near me.
Near you?
Yeah, and I have to think about it.
Do they even have good pizza and cheesesteaks that far
offensive. That's really offensive. You know that.
Well, I mean, they don't know. Do they really know how to do it out there?
I did have. Remember, I told you about that place that has the smoked Cooper Sharp cheese,
Yes.
Gazos?
Yes.
They followed me on Instagram. They didn't send me a message. You think, listen, they need to send me, we have to have a meetup. I have to try one of their cheesesteaks with the smoked Cooper Sharp. That's because that might end up winning. And apparently they're
because
opening,
I'll be honest.
They should actually sponsor the show because I could plug how they have a brick and mortar store coming soon, but nobody will know where because we aren't
even
talking
before
about
the
it.
diet, I was rarely a cheesesteak guy in Delco.
I was actually thinking about going over here and buying one of these cheesesteaks for the first period. I'm hungry.
I would come down to the city to get a good cheesesteak.
Yeah.
I wouldn't eat the ones out in Delco.
I'm sure this is Pagan putting this comment in here. I will tell you that Pottsville, despite the fact that it is so unbelievably far from civilization, has great pizza. Great pizza.
Brick oven?
Some are, yeah.
Yeah.
The place that I worked at, Palermo's, they have a brick oven pizza. Not the chain.
Wait a second.
Palermo. What?
I thought we don't do any promos if they're not
It's
paying.
Pottsville. Listen, everybody's on dial-up internet. By the time they find out that I talked about it, anyway, yeah, there's that, and there's Roma. Roma's in town, and Palermo's is out on the highway, quote unquote, between Pottsville and Miners. Well, anyway, The Skooks know. They get it. All right.
By the way,
to
answer Mike's question about will my fiance become the 5th host like Nancy, no, Maria will not because she doesn't like talking publicly in any way, shape, or form. She's very quiet.
Lucy wants to meet me for a cheesesteak at that place in Pottstown. How about that? Maybe we'll meet up.
There you go.
Maybe. I don't know.
I think you're in.
All
right, 5 minutes ago. We're down to prediction time.
See that? Tim Tobin gets it.
Sleeper pizza joint. But you know what that means to me, sleeper pizza joints? It means that they're good, but they're not great.
I will tell you right now, if I took you up to Pottsville, there are 3 places that we would go to. We'd go to Roma, we'd go to Palermo's, and we'd go to Pottsville Pizzeria. Pottsville Pizzeria is a totally different kind of pizza. I have been longing for Pottsville Pizzeria for about 3 months now. I can't get myself away from the house long enough to do the 1.5-hour drive up to go get pizzas, but they sell them unbaked as well, and I'm going to bring them home, and I'm going to vacuum seal them and put them in the freezer. Anyway, we'll take it there. Roma's got a lot of great stuff. They got a hot wing pizza. You got to Palermo's. This is the thing that bothers me about pizza places. if you get a buffalo chicken pizza or chicken bacon ranch, do you like the chicken steak, like the sliced stuff, or do you like the chicken chunks?
I don't get a chicken steak.
What is wrong with you?
Because I get real steak. I don't get chicken steak.
No, on the pizza.
I don't put chicken steak on a pizza
No, but
either.
I'm saying if you get chicken bacon ranch or buffalo chicken pizza.
I don't do either.
What?
I mean, I really don't. I think it's...
This man has blasphemed.
No, that's not how we do it.
That's horrible. I don't know what's wrong.
That's how we do it.
Buffalo chicken pizza and chicken bacon ranch is offensive to you?
I wouldn't say it's offensive.
Let me know. Let me know in the comments section.
I'm sure people like it.
Do you like the chicken steak better or like the chunks of chicken? I like the chunks of chicken. I like to feel like if I'm going to spend $2.95 on a slice of chicken bacon ranch at Palermo's in Pottsville, I want to make sure that it's worth my while. And it always is.
If I'm going to spend money on a slice of pizza, I want it to be pizza. I don't want it to be dinner on dough.
Oh, dude, Collegeville Bakery has the best pizza.
What do you think, intern Andrew?
Because Collegeville Bakery they have the one that's like the they have the Thanksgiving pizza.
I don't
sometimes.
care. I want to know what intern Andrew thinks. Here we go. Put his mic on.
Like for my favorite pizza joint?
What kind of pizza do you like?
You know what? I've actually grown to love Chicago deep dish.
Okay.
So the place in Westchester we used to go to was called Bravo Pizza. They had good Chicago deep dish. What?
Okay. What? All right. That's fine. I'd rather that.
Of all the places in Westchester, that's the one that you picked.
I'd rather deep dish than putting chicken on a pizza.
Loyalty. Well, I'm all about loyalty.
Oh my God! All right.
Thanks, intern Andrew.
Titan Flyer.
Time for you to make your picks.
Titan Flyer is triggered that we talked about pizza here.
All right. Time to make your pick.
Listen, Titan Flyer. You know what? I need you to remember something. All right. We do the hockey talk, but it's also
that silly podcast.
Okay, so let's have a little break here. We got to get to the predictions. Flyers, Lightning. The Flyers have lost consecutive games. It has not been a great time. They had a little bit of time in between. Intern Andrew, your prediction tonight. He says 6-3 Flyers. Wow.
That's not what it says.
4-2 Lightning.
It says 4-2 Lightning.
Which is interesting because that's also what Bundy picked. 4-2 Lightning.
What does Russ pick?
Well, it's Sam Emerson in net tonight. You know what that means.
Go ahead.
3-1. Lightning.
Well, I'm going to be glad to go opposite the three of you.
You're going to pick the Flyers.
I am picking the Flyers to win this game tonight.
Wow.
I think that they have a nice bounce-back game. I think that they played well enough against Colorado to kind of hang in with a really fast team. They had a stinker against Ottawa, and they've done a nice job of bouncing back from bad performances, okay? And I think that even though they've lost 2 in a row, I'm going to take the Flyers to win this game tonight, 4-3 Flyers. Are you surprised by this?
I'm just wondering if the Colorado fans who were up here the other day smoking a little doobie left a little present for you for before the show. Flyers beat the Lightning. How about that?
4-3 Flyers tonight.
All right. We will, of course, be back for first and second intermission as well as postgame. Bundy will join us then. If you're new to the show, thanks for finding us. Share the link on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. If you like the show, which I hope you do, by all means, share it to your friends, share it to your family, share it to Flyers fans in your lives. And don't forget, we'll be back, intermissions, postgame. This is a silly podcast. It is a silly show that we do here. And we look forward to seeing all of you in a little bit. We'll have the Game Center up here with some stats in between periods. So for Ant, for Bundy, for intern Andrew, I'm Russ, and we will talk to you in the first intermission. Hello. Welcome into the Press Row Show, the #1 rated pregame, intermission, and postgame show the side of the Mississippi. We've certainly had quite the first period up here in Press Row. There was somebody last game who said, is that just a green screen behind you?
No. One of these days you'll learn that because I'll be throwing Russ over the side.
And to prove it, I'm going to take this cup and throw it over the glass. All right, everybody? No, I'm just kidding. We won't do that. Welcome in. Flyers losing to the Lightning as all of us except for Anthony expected. Anthony will not be picking up a point tonight. Russ, there's still 2 periods left. Tell me what you saw from the Flyers,
Anthony. Picked the Flyers
he
tonight.
did.
I did.
So what I want to do right now is give Anthony the floor. Anthony, go ahead and explain to the people how and why the Flyers are going to have a legitimate chance. Tell us what you saw in that first period that's something to build on, that's going to propel them through the next 2 periods.
I didn't think it was an awful period. I thought that, the second goal is the power play goal, that it was very similar to the goal that they gave up to Colorado. Bundy was actually pointing it out, and then when I saw the replay, I was like, oh, he was exactly right. The pass over to Kucherov was very reminiscent of the pass to Rantanen from McKinnon the other night against Colorado, so there's obviously something there in the penalty kill that the Flyers are going to have to fix.
Yep.
And they gave up an early goal to point. But I think that, other than that, I thought that they were okay. I thought that the power play had some good pressure. I thought that that line with Frost, Farabee, and Atkinson keeps creating offensive chances. Vasilevsky made a couple of really big saves that period to kind of keep the Flyers off the board. So I didn't think it was a terrible, awful period. I thought it was a okay period, but you're down 2-0. So obviously you're not happy with the result. Look, they came back twice from down 2 goals against Colorado and got back into that game. Colorado's a better team than Tampa. So I think that there's obviously still an opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
But you just don't like being in this position game in, game out where you have to chase it.
Yeah, and that's really was a theme that going back to the Flyers a few years before was how often they had to try to chase hockey games and try to make it interesting, and they did. But this is not the right formula right now. I was looking at it 2 ways before the game when I was picking this. Tampa Bay had gone on a run. I think they'd won 5 out of 6. They lost to Detroit last game. And I'm thinking to myself, man, are they turning the corner? Or are they going to go into a little bit of a drought?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying, no, this team's got two Stanley Cups not that long ago. They need to know when to turn it on. And if they're going to go out in flames, then they're going to do it in the playoffs. But I doubt it'll be the regular season.
Yeah.
That's why I thought Tampa was the play here tonight. I think the Flyers have gone through an awful lot today as a team. It's always difficult when you hear a player is going to be leaving for an undetermined amount of time. That does wear on players because your thoughts are with your teammates.
It's a fair point. Certainly a fair point. We talked about that in the pregame. Talked a lot about what's going on there. If you haven't had a chance to go back and listen to that, we're not going to rehash it during first intermission, second intermission, and postgame. But you can certainly, during the period, go back. If you're on YouTube or on Facebook or on Twitter, you can, kind of scrub back to the pregame where we dove into that. Bundy, you mentioned that it is hard, especially when you don't know how long a guy's going to be out for. Is it just a scenario where you hope to get clarity as a team so that you know who you're going to be backing down the stretch here?
Well, I mean, listen, I don't know what the future holds here, and as I said on the Flyer pregame radio, we didn't really dive into it at all. I wish him the best. I'm somebody that comes from.
Well, I mean, look, you deal with this all the time with your recovery stuff, right?
I do.
You deal with mental health all the time.
We do addiction and mental health.
Yeah.
We have centers in the city, and it's become prevalent. And again, when I look at somebody that's struggling, and I've been so open about my battles. I battled alcohol, and I'm coming up on 13 years of sobriety, God willing. But I tell people all the time, it's different now in the world we live in. People are more open to say they have mental health issues. And if you don't resolve your mental health issues, it's going to turn to addiction. And if it's addiction you start with, it turns to mental health issues. And I've never been shy to talk about them. And people looking for help out there, yes, I tell them all the time, don't be afraid. And for one thing I am saying, Carter Hart has taken the right steps. There's other guys that are doing it. And if that's what they really need to have done, then I implore it. It didn't happen when I played. Guys were told to suck it up, Forget
it was taboo to have mental health.
You never talked about it, right? You hit everything because that was not part of the cliche of being a pro athlete. You can't show weakness. It's like being in the military. What the most decorated time in history. You can't show that.
Yeah.
Now you have more of an ability to do it because the world's more accepting.
Got it.
I wish him the best.
There was something I wanted to bring up, and I meant to bring it up pregame and forgot.
Oh, go on.
And I wanted to kind of bring it up, and I was. It's funny because now Now we know why, but I was curious as to the timing of this, and I was also curious as to what was the wording that was included. The Flyers sent a letter to season ticket holders.
Yes,
today.
that is true.
Yes.
I could bring it up on the screen if you want.
Well, I can read it.
Go ahead, please do.
I mean, it's got a little bit of length, but it's not terrible. And it was signed by Dan Hilferty, Danny Briere, and Keith Jones. And there's a lot of interesting stuff in it. The timing of it kind of equates to what was announced today with Carter Hart, but I also think that there's something else in here that's important. First and foremost, what an extraordinary season thus far as we've embarked on this new era of Orange. The coaches know it. We see it. You feel it. This team is a special group. Their play and the succession that has come into this season's first half is an indisputable result of their pure and unmatched effort. That relentless resolve is a direct reflection of head coach Tortorella and what it means to be a Philadelphia Flyer. Players giving their all, battling every shift, blocking shots, playing through injuries, and most importantly, playing for each other. This collective effort defines our success. It's a testament to the spirit of Flyers hockey, a tradition we all cherish. While we acknowledge the ongoing journey of building this team, we assure you that we remain steadfast in our approach. There may be some ups and downs, bumps along the way, but our commitment is to not take shortcuts or to sacrifice our future for the present. Coach Tortorella emphasizes that we are not just rebuilding, we are laying the foundation for success based on hard work, accountability, and a no-quit attitude. Our mission is clear. We are building not just for immediate success, but to achieve our ultimate goal, to be a perennial power competing for the Stanley Cup year after year. We want to emphasize that everything we do, big or small, is for you, our most loyal members. With that commitment in mind, we are thrilled to announce that we will not be raising ticket prices for the upcoming season. This decision reflects our gratitude for your patience and support during this crucial year in our rebuild. Thank you for your unparalleled support, and together let's cheer for the present, build for the future, and win as one. Let's go Flyers. That's what they wrote. And I think that the most interesting facet of that is the constant messaging, and we heard it from Torts in the interview he did on NBC Sports Philly, and you see it again in a letter that is an official letter that's sent to season ticket holders, that they are staying with their approach, that this is a rebuilding season, and that they will think of the future going forward with every decision that they make. And I think that they're really, really kind of setting us up, I think, in a lot of ways for what's to come March 8th.
That they're going to be selling.
They're going to sell people that you're going to end up liking, and then But that's part of what you have to do. I mean, this has been an overachiever year.
Yes, it has.
I mean, there's and again, like they've mentioned Torts and that like 3 times. If you went back into the history, we used to say, like, I don't even know if they're going to have the rebuild done by the time that coach is 10 years over here.
Yeah.
This could be a 1-year thing. That's what I'm telling you. Torts will grab your attention for a year, and I've talked to lots of guys. That message gets as old as any message in the game of hockey.
Yeah.
It will get old again. And so that's why when you have it, I wish that this was the year where they had that team, but it's not. And that's where the realism has to become effective. And that's why a letter like that is honest. Like, we're not done. Like, we don't think we have what we need, and we don't. We need more skill. We need better everything.
I think that they're about to learn from a potential mistake from the offseason. If I'm allowed to call it a mistake without Anthony jumping on me about it.
What is it? I'm not even...
The potential deal that they had offered to them for Scott Lawton in the offseason of a high pick, and they chose not to go with it, and he's had a very up and down season. I think he's had a lot more downs than ups. And now you look at, hey, a Sean Walker is a guy who's played really, really well, but in fairness, you didn't expect anything of him coming into this. Like, when they acquired him, it was kind of like, he felt like a throw-in piece. If you're offered a high enough pick for him ahead of the deadline, you have to make that move. Even if you think that, hey, we can get him back at a pretty affordable number and we like what he brings to the table, you can't get caught up in that in a rebuild.
That first-round ship has sailed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's done with. So, I mean, that's part of it too, right? That's why when you're managing, you gotta listen to your own intuition tell you what's right.
Yeah.
This is really, to me, at the end of the day, it's about Jonesy and Danny's vision, because they're the ones that are going to be here for really the extended period of time. Ultimately, it's going to have their handprint all over it. So that really, we have to trust that process. That's what they got hired for.
I like it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I I think it's the right thing to do to constantly be in communication with your season ticket base. Let them know what's going on. Let them know what you're thinking. Let them know what you're feeling, and let them know what the part, as much as you can, what the process is that you're planning here. Okay. So I think it's important. Now let's just see how they handle it, because they do really.
I don't know what he did to my screen here. He messed me all up.
All right,
What'd you do, intern?
We're good. We're back. Our video's back.
Is it? Because I'm frozen.
Mine's not.
There
I'm
we go.
Frozen.
All right, well.
Yeah, we're back.
Bundy, don't click
I just
anything.
went all off and everything.
Oh, Bundy.
You know what? I'm going to pay me back for that elf suit for this job tonight.
He's over here going, I didn't do anything.
We need to figure out a way to get the intern Andrew cam back on.
Well, it's a problem because now the thing runs through his computer, so we don't get intern Andrew on the camera.
Yeah, but now we run it through his computer. We get like weird emojis that pop up on the screen.
That's true. Like if you do a thumbs up, like sometimes it gives you like the little schwuppty thing that pops up, or if you kind of do like the.
I was watching. You did a heart thing.
I did a heart the one day. I'm trying to figure out where you have to do the heart for it to pop up. But anyway, it did it the other day, and it was great.
I was rewatching part of it.
Everybody.
I was rewatching part of it, and all of a sudden I saw the balloons coming up again. And I was
the
like,
balloons were great. We love that.
I think
that was doing a peace sign or doing a 2.
I don't know what brings the balloons up. I really don't.
What can we talk about that's fun right now? The alumni game. Let's talk about that.
Oh, yeah, the alumni game is this week.
3 days away. 3 days away?
I want to tell you guys something. I want to share this with you all.
Yeah.
You know why I'm really not looking forward to the alumni game right now?
Why?
Because we're going with 7D. You know what 7D does?
You don't like the 7D thing?
Hey, all right. Good job. You know what 7D does to a rotation?
What's that,
It
Bundy?
screws it up. It messes it up.
So you mean you and Dennis aren't going to be together, Dennis Seidenberg? You guys aren't going to be together the entire time.
You think you're the 7th guy?
Every guy on that team has probably been a 1 or a 2 on that defense. Maybe Dennis later, but not here. But every D, so nobody's really going to be used to sitting around as a 7. Listen,
maybe they'll use you like they use Zamula, so you'll be playing the point on the power play.
If they were smart, they'd do that.
Get that 100.
Discover what they failed to discover 20 years ago.
How fast do you think you can get that shot up?
No. Did I throw my hip up?
It was over 100 in that clip that the Philly Heritage account put out. So how fast do you think you can get it?
Although I will say this though, Bundy. I will say this.
Yeah.
You have 7D.
Yeah.
How much can Joe Watson really play?
I don't know. He's going to play. I mean, he screams at everybody. I've played with him before. He's a lunatic.
He is a lunatic.
Come on, you got to move your feet out there. You got to move your feet, buddy. Come on, buddy. Buddy, you got to move your feet.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, if you look at him and tell him to move his feet, you may as well started calling him names.
Who's behind the bench? Somebody asked.
Is it Keenan?
That would be something.
Iron Mike.
We got to get Iron Mike, to make an appearance.
He's not allowed on this show.
No, we're getting him on.
He's banned.
If Iron Mike
is banned.
I swear,
me and Keenan are close.
If Keenan is coaching,
he's banned.
If he's coaching,
he
Bundy,
stood us up twice.
That's who we're getting on.
He's banned.
That's who we're getting on. If absolutely 100%, I don't care. I'll shut you off, Russ. I'm getting Keenan on if that's the case.
The only Keenan I want comes with Kel.
I tell you what, it's going to be a fun night. Like you might actually see some physicality too.
Are you going to lay the lumber on Chara?
No. The guy's retired, Russ. We don't do that anymore. Plus, I don't know many guys would want to do it anyway.
Right. Yes, Iron Mike is. If he is the coach, if he's coaching that thing, he is coming on. 1,000%.
Is Bergeron confirmed to play?
I don't know yet, but I know they won a cup with Mark, right? With Recchi?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking maybe they'll come here for his retirement for the Flyers. And, Boston and Philly have more than enough history together.
Yeah.
I mean, the Boston obviously has won one Stanley Cup going back to the early 70s. The Flyers are trying to do that as well. And then, there's been a lot of interesting stuff between the two teams, right? Like the Flyers coming back from 03 to beat them. The Bruins then winning the Cup, sweeping the Flyers the next year to win the Cup. So I think it might happen. I don't know. I'll try to dig in, guys, and have some answers by Friday morning.
Intern Andrew, do you understand the reference that was up there from Philip? Who loves orange soda? Kel loves orange soda. Is it true?
Is that like a Keenan and Kel thing?
Thank you. I said the only Keenan I want on this show is the one who comes with Cal. All right. Hey, what, Bundy? I know that you're committed to playing in the game. What if Hitch is behind the bench?
No, he ain't going to be here.
There's not going to be a lot of room then. Next question.
I bet you Hitch likes buffalo chicken pizza.
Hey, could someone bring me out some of those buffalo wings and some pizza?
We were talking about...
It's so good here in Philly. I love eating pizza and wings.
We were talking about pizza pregame, Bundy, and Russ was trying to ask me if what kind of
I want pepperoni and sausage on my pizza. Why is this not here?
Russ was asking me.
You look like you're in the ice capades. Get me the pizza.
Russ was asking if you like chicken on pizza.
No.
Right? It's ridiculous,
no,
right?
No, I don't like that.
It's absurd. It's not pizza.
Yeah.
It's like a meal on your pizza.
Yeah.
See, he doesn't like the chicken on the pizza either.
All right. Second period coming up.
I have to tell you, I did not expect to hear Hitch's mating call on the first.
Hey, guys. You're playing a little light tonight. Well, at least we're playing, Hitch. Where'd you ever play? He played bubble hockey at the back of Canadian Tire. All right, that's it. I gotta go.
You got.
We'll have hockey analysis in the second intermission. Yes.
Just go, Russ.
All right, we'll be back second intermission. Welcome into the Press Row Show, the #1 rated pregame, intermission, postgame show this side of the Mississippi. The Flyers showed a little bit of resolve, a little bit of fight back in that period, but
can't keep
Tampa
giving Tampa power play chances.
Can't do it.
Period.
Can't do it. 4-2 through 2. Bundy, let me throw it to you first. What is a positive that came out of that period for the Philadelphia Flyers that allowed them to get back into this game?
Well, I think, it's funny. When you look at a team like Tampa and you see where they are in the standings and you look at what their makeup is a little bit, I think what's interesting with them is that they're not the same team they were 3 or 4 years ago. They're not that. They don't have that whole package. So I think for the most part of the second period, including the last minute and a half, the Flyers had them hemmed in their zone. And Tampa Bay had trouble getting it out of the zone. So the Flyers' resilience, again, determination offensively with the puck, making some good plays towards the net, got them back in the game when they made it 3-2. But as Anthony said, Tampa Bay has some good 5-on-5 moments. But their bread and butter in this game tonight is the power play. And when you're 3-2, you can't take a bad penalty late in the period and give that team a chance to score.
But here's the one thing I will say. I'm not certain that it was even a penalty on Cam Atkinson.
I didn't know it was till I saw it after.
You did? It is?
I didn't see it on the ice.
Okay.
I didn't know necessarily if it was, but I didn't.
Well, I didn't see the replay. Did you? So I'll take your word for it. If you said it, say it was a penalty.
Somebody put here, they said it's a bonehead.
Yeah.
A bonehead penalty. It might have been one of those, but I didn't realize it until after he went in either. And I saw the replay. I'll have to take more of a look at it. But this is why we ask our fans.
Yeah.
What did you guys think? Did you see the penalty? Because we didn't have a second look at it. And you can help us out.
Yeah, no, I didn't see it. I thought in the moment it was barely a slash, let alone a hook.
Lazy penalty. So.
Yeah. Okay. So it's fine. So then, yeah, you're right. That is a penalty you cannot take. You cannot take that penalty in that spot. And it's a shame because Cam Atkinson scores another goal. He's now got 9 points. He's great. 9 points in last 6 games. Really has kind of unlocked his game a little bit here with the way he's playing. I know Torts wants to credit that to the 11-7 lineup, but it was just a matter of time. Bundy, I guess when you're pressing that hard for that long, and he gets a veteran guy gets benched, gets scratched for a game, and comes back in, starts to play a better brand of hockey. Now all of a sudden, he's on a roll again.
He's playing well. Pucks are going in. But I mean, I think also he's done some good things offensively. I don't know. You know what? Like it's one of those cases. I think in a game. In a game like tonight, I don't know necessarily, Anthony, like this, but when I watch the Flyers in a game like they're playing here tonight, you can see the difference in the game with Tampa and Flyers with the skill level that they have. They have 3 guys up front that have, like, the 2 goals that they've scored tonight were total skill plays down low. But 5-on-5, I'm not as impressed with Tampa as I expected to see them look in this game.
And I think, though, I'll say this also. The other thing that's really, really cool with that the Flyers did that period, and I got to give them a lot of credit. Power play that they scored Drysdale's goal. Yeah. First period, Flyers won the power play, and Drysdale was making, he's standing up at the point, and he's trying to do that, walk the line a little bit, draw the penalty killer towards him, and then set up a pass for Sanheim on the half wall. Tampa didn't bite. All right, yes. They must have seen in previous games, Flyers have gotten a couple goals that way, and Tampa didn't bite on it. And Flyers did not score on that first power play. They get a power play that period, and all of a sudden, things rotated. Things switched. They put Sanheim at the top and put Drysdale on the half wall.
Yep.
Okay? So you really want to sit there and say, okay, Drysdale needs to shoot the puck more to kind of keep the penalty killers honest. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to shoot from the point, have the guys come out and and challenge you, and then you open up the space for the guy on the half wall. Instead of doing that, they flipped them, and Drysdale gets a shot. With Sanheim at the point, Tampa's probably like, oh, he's a bit more dangerous person to shoot the puck from up there. They go with Sanheim. Drysdale gets open in the circle, and he's the one that takes the shot, and the Flyers are able to score the goal. Very subtle change to the power play, but it was one that turned out to be the right call, and amounted into a goal.
Yeah, absolutely, and making adjustments on the fly. So you even said before the game, Anthony, that they wanted to see Drysdale shoot more, or at least be an option to shoot, and you were spot on with that. And that was a good Good job by Drysdale changing the angle, too, to get the shot through.
Yep.
Vasilevsky, though, you know, it's funny. As good as he was in the first, he was bad in the second, I thought. He was fighting the puck a little bit. Like that one goal that Atkinson scored, that can never go in. Just so you know, like, if you're a defenseman, that's all the goaltender. You're giving him that pass. Like, that's for his to take.
Yeah.
And, you know, to have a redirection about 6 inches in front of the glove, fall into the back of the net is poor goaltending. Here I am telling you, it's got 2 Stanley Cups too, right? But that just tonight, that's what it is. So, and then the other one was, again, good shot by Drysdale, but a little bit of traffic in front. And that always makes a difference when you're able to put bodies and traffic in front of the net. The killer, though, again, going back, when you get that 3-2, it kind of felt like the other night a little bit against Colorado, right, where they snapped back in it. Yep. Different time. It was the second period rather than the third. But even when you put the heat on them, it was an offensive push by the Colorado team that got them up over the hump again, specifically their best player, Nathan McKinnon. And we're seeing a little bit of that with Kucherov and Point here tonight.
Well, I was just going to bring up Kucherov. I mean, you know, and it's funny you mentioned McKinnon because we were so all over McKinnon the other night about how, you know, great of a player he is and how well he played.
So I'm reading some comments.
But Nikita Kucherov is a special player, too. I mean, first of all, he scores the 2 power play goals from his office. But more than anything else, Bundy, I was more impressed with the assist on the last goal that Tampa scored by Kucherov. Just a neat little play, a neat little pass through the through a couple of legs, couple of bodies to set up that last goal.
Unbelievable play. Like
right?
a puck that comes out of the corner that quick, and then it goes, and then it gets sent right back to the traffic area in the middle.
Yep.
And there's only one guy who gets a stick on. I mean, it's just an unbelievable goal. But the pass by Kucherov, I can't say that the young guy's name, but I don't have the sheet in front of me, but I mean, that was even a beautiful play. It was a left shot, and he kept the one side one-timer, you call it. Yep. But if he's a right shot, it'd be the same side. He pushed that puck into the far side of the net on a redirection. I mean, that's a really good skill play.
A skillful play.
Big time. And Kucherov is filthy. You know, so is Point. These guys get going out there, and, you know, you get Stamkos is a pretty good game, too.
What's that soapbox I've always gotten on, Ant, for the 5 years we've done this show about restricted free agency?
Oh,
right?
About how everybody
Dude,
should, yeah.
Braden Point. I like, Bundy, I know that it's been a long time since we've had that conversation, but, like, there was a time where Braden Point was available as an RFA, and no teams put in an offer sheet, which, listen, he wasn't the same guy, obviously, when that RFA came up versus what he is now, but you could see there was certainly more than, like, a fledgling idea of what he could be. The fact that, like, no teams put in an offer sheet for him just proves what a sham restricted free agency is. But to see the way that he's grown and the way that he's grown alongside Kucherov, it's pretty remarkable. Now, I want to get back, because I think the Colorado game is actually a pretty good comparison here. It's a better team that you're playing against. It's a team that you fell behind, but you kind of fought your way back in. If the Flyers aren't able to win this game, what would you consider to be a strong way to finish this one? Like, what do they have to score another goal? Is it a matter of them keeping Tampa off the score sheet again in the third? What constitutes a successful final frame?
Again, and you know what, Russ? Until this team turns a corner in a few years where you feel like, okay, this is what we are, we're stand pat, effort is all that they have, really, right? Like, to stay with it, to keep battling. Because even in that letter that Anthony wrote earlier, you know, it goes back to the basics of fundamentals of what this franchise is in history. It's a hard-working, determined team that's not going to quit, and it's going to draw the comparisons of the blue-collar city that it exists in. That's all I ask for. Just be a Philly guy. You know, we don't expect you to win the Cup this year, but do what you've done. It's been a great effort. It's been a lot of good things. Players have stepped up. The coaching's been good. Goaltending's been good. But they're in a little bit of a rut right now. They're down 2. It's an important game, and I just want to see them do the same things that they've done all year, and that's put the work in and make the city and fans proud of them in the game. I know it sounds cliche and stupid, but it's true.
Yeah,
it's true, because we don't have the setup that Tampa has now with you know, high-end skill that have won cups, you know, and been there. So that's what we're afforded right now, and we just want to see that the work ethic is what we all we asked for a year ago was we wanted to see something that would make us proud and work, and we've had that. And
do you agree? Is it just an effort thing that Torts walks away and feels better about a loss, or do they need to tie this up? Do they need?
Torts is never going to feel better about a loss.
Sure.
Never.
Yeah.
seriously, let's be honest. I mean, he's just not.
Yeah.
But I do think there are games where he gives his team a little bit more of a pass than when they lose than others. And look, if you claw back in this game and the final score, let's say you lose this game 5-4, right? He's probably upset at all the penalties and the like, but you'll always take better 5-on-5 play in a game than the other team.
Yeah.
And work on special teams and figure out special teams. If you're still the better 5-on-5 team overall, or at least match the other team at 5-on-5, I think that as a coach, he'll be happy.
Okay.
Right? I'm fair to say that, Bundy?
Yep.
5-on-5 is what they care about more than anything else. Yes, special teams matters, but they care more about 5-on-5, how you look versus the other team.
100%. That would be how you get your view of what your group is your even strength play, especially 5-on-5. I'm not like wowed by Tampa 5-on-5. Like,
no.
There used to be a time 5-on-5 where you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be trouble the whole night. And then their power play was extra special. Their power play's still been extra special tonight, but I really feel like this game can be won by the Flyers at 5-on-5. Tampa has more skill. They are working tonight with that skill, but at the same time, I still feel like the Flyers are just a little bit back on their heels, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit, and they shouldn't be. Their game is just to go play hard, make it nasty on the other team. Get in there and get, freewheel a little bit. Feel good offensively, but then commit defensively. Problem is, some nights it's not going to go like that, and you have to dig in on your special teams, especially your penalty kill against a high-end talent team. That's the difference in the game right now.
Well, I'll tell you what, Bundy,
That's
the expected goals stat is kind of bearing that one out, because in all situations right now, Tampa is leading 1.76 to 1.28. So expected goals also doesn't seem to be too enamored with the play of the Lightning. Anthony, I saw that you brought up a comment that I'm sure you were excited to get to. Where is it? What were you going to?
I didn't bring it up. I was going to bring it up.
I thought you did. Okay.
Yeah, no, I was going to bring it up.
Are you going to bring it up? Or
You want me to? I'll bring it up.
You having a hard time clicking over there?
No, I got it.
Clicking's
here we
hard?
go. No, it's fine.
What's going on over there?
Yeah. I was just going to say to Yerk 12, welcome to our world.
Who's that?
Welcome to our world.
Evan really does not like. I'm not sure that Evan's a Flyers fan.
What did he do? I didn't even see what
he. It's not just what he did tonight. It's what he does every time we're on the air, which is absolutely.
He says they have no plan.
Destroys the organization.
I don't know if Evan's ever been happy as a Flyers fan, which is why I'm not convinced that Evan is a Flyers fan. Because
you know what? Evan is here listening. He's a listener.
Well, Evan can take the abuse, though. Evan can take the back and forth.
No, we go back
fairness,
and forth
Evan
with
likes
Evan.
to go But the thing is, this team has gone through 3 different regimes since I remember interacting with Evan. He was not happy with Hextall and Hextall's plan. He was not happy with Fletcher Mort or Fletcher Mort's plan. He's not happy with Briere or Briere's plan. So either, and they all had different approaches to this thing, and he didn't like any of them. I just want to know what the Evan Atkins plan is. There was the Atkins diet. I want to know what the Atkins plan is for building a cup contender.
Please
submit
don't pump him up.
I know I need him to submit a formal plan.
Russ, you know what's going to happen?
On a Word or Pages document. I want a PDF.
You know what's going to happen? I'm going to go home tonight, and I will be sitting at home, decompressing after tonight, watching television or whatever, and then my phone will start buzzing, or my watch will start buzzing, and in my DMs will be a manifesto from Evan. On this plan.
I would love to see.
Thanks to you. It won't stop.
So his Twitter handle, Spinning My Wheels Through Life. What would that be? Spinning My Manifesto Through Life?
Oh, man.
All right, anyway. I will. I have to say really quick, I'm really worried about one thing.
Yeah.
Last episode we did, during one of the intermissions, our friend the organist who's next to us, who does a great job, played a song, and then YouTube flagged it as being a cover version because it detected the melody he was playing. And it was like, you can't have this video up because he was playing a cover song. So apparently, according to YouTube, we're supposed to control the organist. We can't do that, YouTube.
Dude, that organist, he's actually going to be part of. Dude, he's like the 5th member of the Snow the Goalie.
I agree.
Team. He is.
Fantastic.
Is he equal to Andrew and Andrew?
By the way, Westchester University grad, School of Music.
He is now part of the Snow the Goalie crew.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, they're not here tonight, so intern Andrew gets a pass. But Bundy, you know what we've decided intern Andrew's responsibility is now? We have this great group of security guys, event staff, who are usually up here with us every game, and they talk to us every game.
Yes.
We go take the elevator down with them after every game. Really great group of guys, like 3 guys who are our regulars, right?
Yep.
We don't know their first names.
Yes, we do.
No. We don't know their first names.
Well, Andrew doesn't know, and
So-
Andrew's supposed to find out.
So Andrew has to get their first names because we're going to bring them on the show one day.
I ever tell you the girl I walked the class for 2 years with when I went to Providence?
Yeah.
And you got to a point where you just leave one class, go to the next one, right? Like a quarter-mile walk, whatever.
Yeah.
I never knew her name for 2 years, but we became like friends.
Did
And
you
then
ever
one
learn
day,
her
like
name?
2 years later, we're walking and I had to introduce in a situation you had to introduce him, and you're like, she looks at me, she goes, "You don't know my name, do you?" I felt like saying, you know what? Don't put me on the spot like that.
And what was her name?
Katie.
Katie.
Yep.
Easy enough name to remember.
Yep. But
So I was trying to
fact.
I was trying to teach intern Andrew the other day because he got really nervous because he didn't know one of the security guards' names, and I guess the security guard knows that he's intern Andrew, and so intern Andrew goes to like acknowledge him, but doesn't know his name and panics. And I said, you have to pull like the Denzel Washington. You have to go, my man, and just a little fist bump, my man. Let us know in the comments when you don't know somebody's name. How do you interact? 610-632. All right.
You know what? I do that a lot of times. I'll do the hey bud if it's a guy. Hey, you doing, man?
Hey, buddy.
But I will
all right.
always ask about like family.
Bundy, how does Hitchcock introduce himself
No,
to,
stop.
to other
I don't get
Stop.
me going again. I got off the rails there. I can't get going on that guy. It's too easy.
Go ahead. And what were you saying?
No, I will ask about I will ask about family.
About family.
Yeah, and try and
What are
get
you,
them.
Vin Diesel in the Fast and the Furious? Family.
No, I'll ask about their family and see how everybody's doing, and maybe it'll clue me in a little bit. Sometimes because it's like, oh, I forget the name, whatever. Hey, how's the fam? How oh, the kids are great.
I like that guy. Hey, guy,
whatever.
what's up, man?
And you start to pick up some details
Instead of
and
just
when you
asking their name.
Yes.
You want like the whole Ancestry.com family tree.
it works.
Something wrong with you. All right. We have a minute left here. As of right now, Bundy would pick up 2 points for a perfect score at 4-2. If there is another goal scored, actually, no, I don't think Ant can't win.
I can win, but I can't.
You can't
get
pick
2.
up the 2 points.
Correct.
Yeah, so intern Andrew and Bundy, if the score ends 4-2, pick up 2 points. My score is blown up. If the Flyers somehow come back to win, Ant will steal the point, but likely it'll be 3 guys getting a point.
Look at
Look at this. We got a Mexican rep. Come on over here.
The Lucha Libre, look at this.
This is fantastic.
Luchador.
Look at this
Why
guy.
not get this guy?
Buenas noches, señor. Mira.
Podcast here. Look at this. They're right in there. Look at that. Look at the camera right in front of you.
Mira, el luchador.
That's fantastic.
How you doing today? Go Flyers.
I'm loving it. I'm living the dream.
Good stuff. What's your name?
Lester.
Lester. All right, pal. Good luck.
How about that?
Let's get him in the
That's
So
fantastic.
we love that. We love that's great.
That's a great.
You never
look.
know who's going to show up on the press row show.
I love it.
Nacho!
It's Nacho Libre.
That's what I said. Sometimes when you are a man, you wear stretchy pants in your room. It
My
is for
son
fun.
Andrew looks like Nacho.
Yeah, he sure does.
Right?
He's not your kid. All right.
My son Andrew
that's-
looks like Nacho.
That's
Libre.
neither here nor there.
All right. Well, we're
Time
at
to go.
zeros. We'll see you next intermission.
All right, no,
Post-game.
a post game. We'll see you post game. Ann will be down in the locker room. Everybody, enjoy the third period. We'll talk to you soon. Welcome into the Press Row Show, the #1 rated pregame, intermission, and postgame show. This side of the Mississippi, the other side of the Mississippi, south of the Arctic Circle, and a show that is going to recap with you, for you, on this fine evening. A 6-3 loss. That really wasn't a 6-3 loss. I feel like I said this after the Colorado game. It really was a 4-3 loss. 2 empty netters. But Bundy, should the Flyers be proud of what they put together in the third? We talked about how after the second, you say, all right, there's probably some things to build on. But do you feel like they put a good enough effort in the third to walk away from this one not feeling as bad as the scoreline would indicate?
If we're giving points for effort and they get, a 9 out of 10,
okay.
But that doesn't get you anywhere. I mean, we've gotten to this point getting 2 points with effort games, and again, there's a reason why I thought Tampa would have a good game tonight. I just feel like they're not a team that I think is going to die out in the regular season. I think they're going to push because they've held cups just 3 years ago. They've done their second one 2 years ago. So the Flyers played well in the third, but again, they didn't give themselves much of a chance down 3-0. I mean, they fought back, which they do.
Yep.
But you kind of seal your fate at the same time when you fall down 3-0 in a game. So it doesn't matter. I mean, you can come back. Yeah, it's 3-2. We get back in the hockey game. We feel good about ourselves. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, that's not going to be accepted really to the coach or to the people trying to make this team better. That will not flow a loss like this. Yeah, effort was good. But again, it's trying to sort that out. And there's some plays. There's stuff they can do to make some adjustments, especially on the penalty kill.
Yeah.
There's been some cross-seam passes that I haven't liked that have scored almost identical goals in 2 games by the 2 most dangerous players on the team, and Kucherov and McKinnon in the Colorado game. Again, it's just a matter of them figuring it out. This was not a good homestand. I mean, they lost 3 out of 4 games. I was hoping to get 6 or 7 points at home here and really lock down where they're at in the conference, but it didn't happen. Fortunately, the last few nights there's been some other losses in the conference, and I always hate when you gasp for air because someone else lost. You're like, oh, good, they fell back. But at the same time, the Flyers have to find their groove again, Russ, and they're off right now. Like and I'll be honest with you, when you watch the way they played against Winnipeg and Dallas, the first game here at home, you can't play better than that, and I said that. And usually when a team plays that good, it is really hard to sustain that. So when you do fall in a game, it's really hard to get that mojo back right away. So that's really the only part for me that I'm at right now is where they find themselves. It's 3 losses in a row at home, and they got to go into a Detroit team that, next was playing Dallas. I think they lost late, or they were down, and then they made a comeback. But, again, the schedule doesn't get any easier. And the Flyers now with Tampa and Florida and Boston on deck is going to make for a challenge.
It's a pretty brutal stretch. I want to remind people they're in Detroit on Thursday. They're back here at home against Boston on Saturday. Before that, Friday, is the Alumni game, which you're going to be playing in. We're going to do a version of the Press Row Show from somewhere downstairs. The balcony won't be open, so we'll be doing something on Friday. I think the plan is 6:30. Anthony's going to start it. I'm not sure if I'll be here for pregame, but we'll definitely
6:30 start. Is that what that
I
is?
think that's what I don't remember. We'll put it out on social. I don't remember,
okay.
But he said something about 6:30. I'm not sure. But we will be back later this week. We'll do a regular Snow The Goalie. We're planning on that. We'll do a morning after. We'll do the Alumni game, and then Saturday we're back here with the Press Row Show.
It's an early. Apparently, the ceremony starts at noon.
Yeah,
I think we got to be in here pretty.
We'll have to be in here early. That's a 12:30 puck drop on Saturday. I've had this comment up here the entire time because I do think it's one that's worth kind of having the perspective. Andrew Fawcett says, "So can we be happy with the season thus far and not lose our minds as they come back to reality?" And I think that is a question that has to be answered by every fan because we know how this works. People got very excited about what this team could be in theory. And you see that, like, hey, as you mentioned, they've now lost 3 straight. Yeah. This isn't great. You don't want that 3 to become 10, which the team has had a propensity for doing for a few seasons now. What can they do against Detroit to ensure that this doesn't extend to 4 games? Because if you lose that one and then you're home at an earlier game against Boston, you're looking at potentially 5 in a row. Like, what do they have to do against Detroit?
Focus on that one game. That's exactly it.
Okay.
Be prepared for Detroit. Don't look at Boston. That's not going to help you at all. But right now, where the Flyers are, you're right, Russ. They're in that predicament. I didn't look at it in the big picture, but Thursday becomes a must-win game. You know, if you want to stay up with the Joneses, you have to find a way to win games. However you got to do it. Digging in, having better starts. Tampa Bay scored early in this game tonight. It kept the Flyers back out of the hockey game until they were able to find a little bit of juice in their game in the second period. But that's not the kind of game that you want to start like that. See you guys. Have a good night. So
the effort definitely seemed like it was there.
Effort's great.
Tonight,
it was there, but it's been there almost every night. The Ottawa game I didn't like in the third period. They looked gassed. That was a
wiped.
brutal third period. It was a lack of energy, a lack of just a lot of things. So I think for the Flyers tonight in this game, Russ, put it behind them again. And I say to, I always tell people, as some people put it, they remember who they were at the beginning of the year. And as someone else said earlier, the water's going to level itself over the course of time. And this is what we said. The second half of the year is where teams start pouring it in, especially teams that, like Tampa is a great example of a hockey team right now that had a kind of a measly start, but they're going to start finding their game. Their goalie's back. They look like they're getting healthy. They've gotten some players back, and that's really, to me, where the Flyers are at. They have to win in Detroit Thursday night. That's a must-win hockey game.
Yep. Looking to see Adam B says, only good thing is the standings help again tonight. At some point, that luck runs out. I want to point this out. I feel like I live in a bizarro world. Maybe I do. Maybe I'm nuts. A lot of times people get really caught up in this whole, hey, you're winning, but so are all the other teams. Like, that was the thing that we heard going into the past weekend. And the thing I always come back to is, like, it's the course of a season. It doesn't matter if other teams are winning when you're losing or vice versa. Like, it eventually balances out. You can't worry about what else is happening in the conference around you, especially at this point in the season. It's not like the final 2 weeks. It doesn't really matter. I mean, like, yeah, from a logistical standpoint, you look at the standings, and if you let they get in your head, sure. But, like, teams win, they lose. It doesn't matter.
Exactly. And, every game, like, you go out with the attitude and the mindset you're going to win the hockey game, but some nights it's not going to go that way. Other teams trying to win the game, too.
Yeah.
And that Tampa Bay team still has a roll of talent that they can throw out there at any given time.
Yep. Hey, so the other day, there were some people who were checking in the comments, and they were saying that Drysdale was really disappointing over the weekend. He looked more like the guy that we've been seeing of late in this game. Did you feel like today was a better bounce back? Oh, Torts is here. Hold on.
With Carter out now, how confident are you Sam can sort of take the ball? And
Sam's played very well. Totally confident in Sam. Okay, thanks.
All right, so I just want to point out, we didn't get to that super late. We didn't miss 3 or 4 questions. What was that?
Yeah, I don't know what that is, dude.
There was one question?
Yeah, I guess there's one, and then no one else threw anything out again, and that was it.
What's happening down there?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, listen, obviously, Torts is an emotional guy. I mean, don't need to tell anyone that. He's probably not happy with the outcome.
Yeah,
but I mean, again, but someone asked a question about Sam.
Yeah, they
what else is he gonna say? No, he stunk.
Yeah,
we're not happy with it at all.
Yeah,
we wish Carter was here. No, you can't say that.
Yeah,
you got to just be truthful and say, hey, listen, I mean, we thought Sam played well. We thought he made some saves. If someone in, but you know what? This is the first game that we've been relegated to this situation that's newly found to us, and so we have to be prepared to play. And I would have liked to heard a little bit more questioning about the game flow or what he thought about
lots
the
of people getting paid to cover the team.
Yeah, I mean,
how do we not have questions? How does that? That's the only thing we get.
The worst press conference maybe in the history of sport, except for probably Jim Moore talking about playoffs. Was at least interesting.
Playoffs.
But you know what? Again, I don't say Torts say that in a month too. So that's why this team has to get back on its horse right now, and they're capable of it. I mean, they when they outwork teams, but I really feel like they have to have better starts. They've been really flayed by some bad starts lately.
Andrew might be right here. Andrew Jacobson says no one wants to get yelled at like Ant. That could be it. Maybe that's why nobody had a question. They're afraid.
Sure, Ant was shaken up.
I think Ant had to go to the Tampa locker room. I think he was doing the AP
he is.
story today.
He
So
is.
he's down there. Short, sweet, nothing much else, says Mike. Silly questions, LD Hockey 1. Can I tell you really quick? I have a complaint today.
Okay.
I do have a complaint. Third period happened. I felt like I was very hungry. I went to go grab a bite over here at our food stand. It's over here.
Mm-hmm.
No food. I get on the elevator. I go down to the mezzanine level. Right? At that point, there's like 15 minutes left in the third. I figure I'm going to go down. I'm going to go grab a cheesesteak. I'm going to run back up here. I did an entire lap of the mezzanine level. No food.
Really?
Everything was getting cleaned up. Now, listen, I used to work way back when. Worked in food service. You have to shut down the fryers at a certain point. You have to clear off the flat
doesn't
tops.
count, though, Russ.
Okay, no, I'm not talking about that. Worked at the great John Fitzgerald Kennedy Pool and Aquatic Complex in Pottsville. Also worked at an Italian restaurant. You have to, you eventually do have to kind of, clear down. I get it. But, 15 minutes left in the third? There's no food? There were, a couple of sad-looking pretzels hanging out. But, I saw, a slice of pizza. I was like, I don't know how long that's been there, You
ever see those hot dogs you walk into, 7-Eleven? They've just been rolling on that thing for Lord knows how long.
I would have taken it. I'll tell you what, though. I would have taken a slow-rolled hot dog that's been sitting there since Saturday.
Dude, I saw one of those puppies, they had one of those. See it, Timmy? One of those hot dogs they're rolling the other day at a 7-Eleven, and I'm thinking to myself, that thing looks like it's been rolling for about 3 weeks.
Yep. Hey, Sean C. says that NBC showed the presser 2 questions total. I'd like to know what the other question was. We must have missed the first one, but the second one was about Carter Hart not being around and if there's confidence in Ersson, and he said yes. Confident in Sam.
That's fair enough. So someone didn't jump another question quick enough, or he didn't want to answer them, and that's it. So the presser stunk. We didn't get much info, and that's the way it goes.
Wild.
Win Thursday. That's what he'd say.
Hey, here you go. Fourth host Nancy says, for the love of God, Bundy, please go down for the next loss and ask Torts a question.
Nancy, I would do that, young lady, except the problem is that I don't want to go down and then come up again and then go down again.
That's fair. That's fair.
How's that for an answer?
I don't know what Ogie wants you to do the Clarky voice, but I like to pull up Ogie's picture because it's Ant in that banana hammock.
Oh yeah, look at that.
That's a great view right there. It's like the Borat banana hammock.
Where is it? Yeah, I know. I saw that picture last week and we were laughing. I didn't want to repost it. I don't think I would have liked it.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Anyway, I think. Listen. What you saw tonight is what we might see more of in the coming days, coming weeks, which is the Flyers will show up with their hustle, they'll show up with the determination, but ultimately they are going to be outmatched some nights on talent.
They are.
And they'll work their way back in. Saturday's game against Boston could get nasty. We'll see.
Yeah, you know what, though? But they can the trick really for being a good team is to not lose games in succession. Yeah. And that really is the trick. And it's harder to do than you think. Good teams find a way to do it. They don't lose 2 in a row. They certainly don't go out and lose, 6 out of 7. It happens. Teams go through bad ruts during the year. Yep. But this is a bad time for the Flyers right now because they just, they had so much promise coming after the Dallas game that you just expected this to keep rolling, a wagon rolling, and it didn't. So now it's a matter of regrouping and finding that confidence again. I've always said, winning is as contagious as losing is too. When you're winning, you feel like you're never going to lose, and when you're losing, and I'll tell you what, is sometimes you just don't think you're ever going to win a hockey game ever again. And so that's what they're facing right now, and it's a little bit of there's some emotion that will be involved in the room. They've gone through a lot today, finding out about their goalie. So I think for the most part, it's going to be a matter of this team bouncing back and taking a step forward with maturity again. People deal with different things. There's young guys. So I think this is an opportunity to grow, to learn from it, but you have to continue winning. We want to see a playoff run. I want to see a playoffs, spot. Even if it's, I don't know if it's 1 round, 2 or whatever, but I want to see this team make the playoffs. They certainly show that hard work and desire go a long way, and I'm looking forward to that possible opportunity.
You know me, I don't like to be that guy, but I am going to be that guy for a second. If we look at the schedule, if they lose against Detroit, then they've got Boston at home. Then they're on the road at Florida, who have looked sensational. Then you're home against the Jets, who lead their division.
Yep.
And then you're home against the Kraken, and you think that maybe you could break it there, or you break it the next game against Arizona. But, there is a potential extended losing streak here. So I don't want to call Thursday a must-win, but it's a must-show up. And
Absolutely.
it's a must not fall behind early in an embarrassing fashion. So we'll see. Like I said, we're going to have more coming over the next few days. Regular episode. Tomorrow, Danny Briere meets with the media for the mid-season checkup, right? The mid-season check-in, state of the team. Obviously, there are going to be a lot of questions about Carter Hart. See what, if anything, comes of that. We'll recap it. At some point, we will do Snow the Goalie this week. We'll have a morning after Friday. You've got the alumni game Friday night.
I think there's a morning skate that day. I am going to come participate in that, and just to get the legs moving a little bit and stretch out anything that hasn't been stretched in a few years.
Sounds like a personal problem.
Keep the defibrillator close by.
And then we'll be back on Saturday with the Press Row Show. So we have a lot of stuff going on. We thank everybody who checked in.
One thing, too.
One more thing.
Owen Tippett. We don't have a time frame, really, on his injury yet. So we'll try to get that the next couple of days and have it for you. Hopefully by Thursday there'll be reports. But we don't have anything right now on that injury. Certainly, we do know that he went out prior to the Ottawa game after Colorado to try to test it. And it wasn't good enough to go, but the fact that he went on the ice to test it it's a good sign. I think, yeah. So we'll give you an update on that.
And his IR stint is retroactive, a few days, so I don't think that they expect him to be out for a long period of time. I think they're just trying to, make the most of it.
Yeah, and again, I'll say I have that code if you go to my site there for the alumni game. If you want $6 off your ticket, get it number 6, right? It's promo for I'm the 7th defenseman.
Right. Yeah.
We're going to be mixing it up, though. I think we have to do that great 7D rotation, which I love. Love it.
I almost said something really inappropriate, and I'm not going to. I'm being a bigger person today.
That's it.
I'm growing as an adult here. So, all right. Big thank you to everybody who tuned in.
Thanks, guys.
Don't forget,
gals.
We'll be back later this week. If you're not subscribed to the podcast yet, please do that. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Google Podcasts, which is going away. I think it becomes YouTube Music soon. But go follow the podcast there. Follow us on YouTube, youtube.com/@SnowTheGoalie. Like the video, share the video, subscribe, ring the bell so you're notified whenever we go live. We have a lot of stuff going on this week. A lot of stuff. We're very excited about what's to come. And don't forget, shop.snowthegoalie.com to get your tickets. March 16th,
and Matt Bennick,
the Press Road Show in Oxford, PA.
This is how's your legs, Bundy? All 3 are good.
And on that bombshell, it's time to end. So thank you so very much for watching.
My legs are ready to roll.
Good night.
Have a good...